Hello, everyone. Welcome to this new webinar. Today's topic will be EU AI Act shaping the digital future of healthcare industry. We're thrilled to have with us Arianna, Medical Device Manager, and Gabriele, Research and Innovation Director, both at PLG. Before we begin, just a quick reminder, this session is going to be recorded and we are going to share both the recording and also the slides with you after us. And we are also going to have a Q&A session at the end of the presentation. It will be more or less between 10 and 5 minutes. So feel free to submit your questions in the Q&A section. It's just below at any time. And we will read them after the speakers are over. So now let's get started. First of all, we are going to make a quick introduction of PLG, if you don't know us. This will be the agenda for today. So Gabriele and Arianna will treat all this topic. We will go through it. And let's make a quick overview. So as you can see here, some key figures that we cover 150 countries. We have more than 2,000 experts all over the world with 60 nationalities. So basically, we can practically cover every part of the world in terms of consulting services. So as I was mentioning, we cover practically all the regions in the world. We have resources on them, even internal and external. We have different partners as well. And what do we cover? We cover all the product development, all the strategy, and all the life cycle. We have strong resources in the digital and in the innovation part. As you can see here in this slide, we don't only have resources in medical devices, we have also resources for biopharma, for nutraceutical, cosmetics, also nutrition, and not only in the medical device itself, we have also resources in software, in AI, and in vitro diagnostics. So as I was mentioning, we have a really strong team, fully dedicated into the innovation and into the digital part, and also a fully dedicated team in the AI section. So if you have any challenge related to this topic, do not hesitate to contact us because I think that we can highly support you. So now I will give the floor to Arianna, and now we can start the webinar. Thank you.
Thank you, Fernando, for the great introduction. So welcome to this webinar, and let's start our topic of today, talking about AI. So we would like to start with a general overview about why is the medical device market moving toward the AI applications. So medical technology innovation market at today is one of the most vivid market. Here it is summarized MedTech Europe report, which shows top 10 technical fields in patent pending applications. As you can see, medical technologies has more than 15,000 of patent pending application, and it is a really interesting number compared to the pharma and biotech ones, which are less than a half. Another important number to mention is about that a high number of patent pending applications are related to digital communication and computer technology, which are strictly related to MedTech field. So which kind of solution innovation can bring to us? Here we can identify 4 different clusters, from screening, early diagnosis, diagnosis even supporting the diagnosis to clinicians, telemonitoring in order to basically monitor physiological parameters to patients, teletreatment, and digital therapeutics. What they have in common, these 4 clusters, is that nowadays we assist in a kind of digital transformation of healthcare sector. Especially because AI is increasingly integrated into medical device solutions. So we would like just to provide a brief overview and high-level view of what AI system represents. The main difference and the main criteria that differentiate an AI system to a standard software basically are the inference, the level of autonomy, and the adaptiveness. what we need to highlight is that AI system is not only the main core of the AI operational logic, which of course is the main operational part and where we have basically the model. But it is really important to understand and to underline the interaction with the environment, including which kind of data are exchanged with the AI system as input data and which kind of data are provided as output in terms of prediction, recommendation, and decision. Because the output may influence the environment that can be not only the physical one, but also a virtual environment. Now, I leave the floor to Gabriele to complete this overview.
Thank you very much, Arianna, and welcome to this webinar. So, as you mentioned, AI is growing in the healthcare market. It's supposed to be a huge market in the next years. And why is that? It's first because we have more and more availability of data sets, of patient data sets, that can also be allowed thanks to European laws and local laws, as well as pressure on healthcare costs and so on innovation. So where AI can bring value, it can actually bring value at each step of the citizen and patient journey. From the prevention, where it can analyze data coming from wearables, from smartphones, to support prevention of a number of diseases and states. And then it can also support the diagnosis, supporting the decision of healthcare providers using virtual assistants, and supporting treatment options thanks to using also digital therapeutics, as Arianna was mentioning, but also surgical robots or machines for treatment. The use of apps can also support patients during their journey, personalization of the apps, and remote monitoring of patients at home using wearable sensors, data, questionnaires that can also support a more proactive support of patients when they are in the treatment phase. And all these data can also be collected. It's interesting to collect them in a real world setting to understand the different factors that will influence the state, the health state of the people, coming from the environment, the social life, the behavior. And so to use this data in research and development to come with new therapeutic options, new therapeutic targets. Of course, AI has to be developed and used in an ethical way in the healthcare sector. We know that it could bring value, and in some cases we already see this value on the market. But on the other way, it also brings risks, and this is one of the main principles of the EU AI Act, on which Arianna will speak about concretely in the next section. But just to give you a brief overview of the different types of healthcare solutions using AI and how they may fit in the risk-based approach of the EU AI Act. First of all, we know, and the EU AI Act prohibits certain practices within Europe using AI, such as social scoring, for example. And this could be also the case in healthcare. But we know we have an exception in the medical field that's for certain medical uses, certain practices such as emotion inference or facial recognition could be used in certain settings of, for example, rehabilitation and psychological treatment. As soon as they are practiced in accordance with the applicable laws, of course, and with the explicit consent of the patients. Then we come to the high-risk AI systems, where we can have two scenarios for the healthcare innovations. First, either the system could be a safety component of a product or a medical product by itself. And so it will be covered, as Arianna will tell you, by MDR and IVDR in Europe, with the necessity to undergo a third-party conformity assessment. Or it can also be listed in the Annex 3 of the EU AI Act, such as emotion recognition or certain practices that could be linked to the emergency triage, the asylum health risk assessment, where it can be considered as high risk system, of course. If we come down, we go to the general purpose AI models, and in some cases, they can be considered with a systemic risk when they have capabilities that may have a high impact. For example, their computational power or the number of users, the number of parameters and data that have been used. This can be the case, for example, using large language models in patient information or diagnostics. And in any case, AI systems will have to fulfill transparency obligations. And we will see that transparency is a key concept, not only for Europe, but also for international stakeholders, where it is important to mention that to users, to patient healthcare professionals, that AI is being used, they are using AI, and the output of the AI system should be mentioned as artificially generated and machine readable.
Thank you, Gabriele. So I can progress digging into the main regulatory topic of today about how to be compliant with your AI-enabled medical device and in which regulatory framework we are now. So let's see what we were a couple of years ago, so in 2023. Basically, in US and in Europe, there was not a specific pathway to handle this kind of new technology that basically are driven by AI solutions. Now the situation is quite changed. What we have now, of course, we have the regulation of EU AI Act that in a few slides we are going to dig in about some requirements, providing you some insight on that. And according to the current state of the art, we also have some FDA guidances regarding artificial intelligence enabled device software function and PCC for medical devices. Basically, these change control plans that Gabriele will speak in a short time are related to modification that will be included in pre-market submissions and how this modification will be assessed. Another important aspect to underline here is let me say, the specific guidances and standards regarding the cybersecurity, which are the basis according to the risk-based approach. So let's start with a general question. Why do we need rules on AI? The reason is because certain AI systems create risks that must be addressed to avoid undesirable outcomes. We need to mention that both AI Act and MDR IVDR has and follows a risk-based approach. The difference is that AI Act is an horizontal regulation that applies to all fields and sectors. MDR IVDR is specifically for the healthcare sector. On AI Act, we have different level of risk, from minimal to unacceptable, and medical devices are classified as high-risk systems. AI Act also put the emphasis on monitoring the performance of AI system, protecting fundamental rights, preventing biases, and ensuring transparencies. What is common also here in a sort of first comparison between the two regulations is that higher is the risk, stricter are the requirements and the oversight. Now we are ready to approach the EU AI Act according to the main scope and definition and get into it according to key dates and milestones. So, 2nd of August 2024, AI Act entered in force. This act will be fully applicable on 2nd of August 2027, when all obligations related to high-risk AI system will be applicable, and manufacturers of medical device should be implemented and should get basically the compliance even against this kind of regulation. Currently, where we are now, what is applicable is general provisions, so the scope and definition that we will see in a few slides, and what are, as Gabriele mentioned before, the prohibited AI practices that aim to protect fundamental rights and to avoid basically criminal acts and criminal offense. What we need to mention that is really important and it is really new, bring to this kind of regulation, is that also the AI should follow a conformity assessment to comply with its requirements. A conformity assessment that may involve even a notified body, and basically it is required even a registration of the standalone AI system in an EU database before the placing on the market, following a proper declaration of conformity. Basically, they are similar steps as we see now for medical devices. Okay, now we can progress about the scope, basically. So who is going to apply the EU AI Act? So EU AI Act applies to providers which are placing on the market or putting into service AI systems in the Union, deployers of AI systems that they are established and they are located within the Union, providers and deployers of AI systems that are located in a third country, but the output produced by the AI system is used in the Union, importers and distributors, product manufacturers, authorized representatives, and affected persons. Let's progress with the definition. So the aim of today is provide you some insights on definition and the main requirements that are applicable for medical devices, so related to the obligation of AI risk systems. So an AI system means a machine-based system with varying level of autonomy that may exhibit adaptiveness after development, interface, and basically how generate outputs such as prediction, content, recommendation, and decisions. Intended purpose means the use for which AI system is intended by the provider in the specific context of use and in the specific condition of use, as is specified in the information basically provided, including, of course, promotional materials and statement that will be basically included in the technical documentation. Other definition that we need to deal with are provider and deployer. Provider basically is who is develop the AI system and place it into the market or put AI system into service under its own name or trademark. Deployer, in a shortcut, is an entity that basically is using the AI system under its authority, except where the AI system is used in the course of personal and non-professional activity. Progressing with the list of definition that, of course, on EU AI Act you will find a lot of them. We choose these ones because they are one of the main important ones. So when we are dealing with AI, data plays an essential roles on that. So we need to differentiate what mean training, validation, and testing data. Training data means basically the data that are used for training the AI system itself. Validation data are used for providing an evaluation of the trained AI system and for turning its not learnable parameters and learning process. Testing data are basically the data set that are used to provide independent evaluation of the AI system to confirm the expected performance. Then we have two definitions that we may find a kind of overlap to the ISO 14971. ISO 14971 is the current standard of risk management in medical devices. So we have the definition of risk, which is the combination of the probability of occurrence of an harm and the severity of that harm, and the reasonably foreseeable misuse, that basically is the use of an AI system in a way that is not in accordance with its intended purpose, but may result in reasonable foreseeable misuse of human behavior or interaction with other systems. Okay, so now we are ready to see some differences and basically where MDR and AVDR overlaps to the EU AI Act. So starting from terminology, on MDR, AVDR, we are referring to manufacturer, while in EU AI Act, we are referring to provider. Basically, these roles are equivalent. Basically, it's the principal actor responsible for the compliance, for design and manufacture, and build the product with the applicable regulation. Regarding the GSPR, so basically the Annex 1 of MDR and EVDR, it is really specific for this kind of regulation, and we do not have an equivalent on that. Then we may mention user and deployer, which has a slight difference here in terms of what does it mean on each regulation, because the user of the device can be a patient and healthcare provider or a carer. Deployer for EU AI Act can be an individual or an entity that use the AI system under its authority. Basically, this definition excludes patient but includes health authorities and hospitals which provide access or use to patient device, which include an AI system. Progressing with the requirements that are included on EU AI Act and making the comparison with the MDR, IVDR, we have basically how we can basically show and get the evidence of the compliance of these requirements. Basically, what can be done is that all testing and reporting needed can be clustered into product technical documentation that already exists. So basically, we can have one main technical documentation which integrates the medical device or IVDR product and the AI system that is integrated by design. Another really important aspect is about risk management. Risk management, as we saw some slides above, is really the basics of both regulation. Both they are following the risk-based approach, and what MDR, EVDR are stating is that manufacturers, which is an obligation for them, shall establish, document, and implement and maintain a system for risk management. On the other hand, EU AI Act is saying that they basically need to perform the same for AI, high-risk AI system, and basically this shall be tested for the purpose to basically identify the most appropriate risk management measures. Relating to that, a really main important point is regarding the accuracy, robustness, and cybersecurity. MDR, EVDR highlight the fact that risk management, including even the aspect of information security, how to handle through among that verification and validation, are quite the key in order to basically protect against unauthorized access, implementing properly IT security measures. EU AI Act focus on eliminate as far as possible the risk of biases, output influencing input for future operations, and even the system should be resilient against attempts by unauthorized third parties that want to basically alter the use, output the performance by exploiting system vulnerabilities. Then we have a specific management of data and data governance. As mentioned, data plays an essential role on AI. We have no AI without data. Basically, EU AI Act refers how to train, validate, and test the data should be reported in a proper way according to specific management practices. So basically, it should be described how all these data are managed throughout the development of the AI system. This part will fall if we are thinking about a medical device which is integrating AI system on product verification and validation part. Technical documentation, it is really important. Just think about that even the AI system should basically be submitted for a conformity assessment. and should be drawn up according to all the EU AI Act requirements, and shall be drawn up before, of course, the system is placed into market, and shall be kept up to date. It is basically the same of the technical documentation that we have in MDR and AVDR. And as mentioned before, we can integrate in one technical documentation, including the AI part. Regarding record keeping, even let me say on either MDR and IVDR and UAI Act, they are referring some specific timeline in which we need to keep the records. For MDR, IVDR is 10-15 years depending on the class of the risk of the device. On UAI Act is specifically deal with the EU Declaration of Conformity, and from technical perspective, for the AI risk system should basically allow the automatic recording of events. So basically the logs over the time, over the lifetime of the system. Another important point to mention here is about transparency and provision of information to deployers. So basically, what MDR and VDR is stating is that it is important to share, according, of course, to its intended purpose and technical knowledge and experience, all the information for the proper use, basically, of the device. The EU AI Act is stating that basically shall be the information that are provided to the user shall be transparent to enable deployers to interpret the system output and ensure that the user can basically follow the instruction for use that ensure a proper use of the system itself. Then basically we deal with the quality management system, because UAI Act is not only dealing with the main regulatory aspect that are relating, as we just saw, on technical documentation, on specific aspects, but even basically providers of AI risk system must implement a robust QMS. The QMS is already an obligation for manufacturers in MDR and IVDR field throughout the whole organization and during the entire life cycle of the products. Here it is reported the main components of this QMS system that the providers must implement. So starting from regulatory compliance strategy, design, control and verification, quality control, testing, validation, technical specification, data management, risk management, in order basically to handle all the aspect even regarding the AI. So not only the risk management from medical device perspective as we are used to perform nowadays, but even including the risks related that can bring even the AI relating to data quality, data selection, biases, performance drift, issues on overfitting, underfitting, and other related risks and hazards that must be addressed during a proper risk management process. Post-market surveillance, serious incident reporting, communication with authorities, record keeping, and resource management. So basically, for basically a manufacturer of medical devices or IVD devices, it is important that your QMS will even integrate all of these requirements in terms of how your AI system are integrated in your product. Here it is some standard references about the quality management system and related standards. So we have ISO 13485 on quality management system of MDR and VDR, and we have the 42001 for AI. Then we have the two, let me say, references of risk management, of course, 14971, as we mentioned before, and the related technical report of 3971 about the application according to machine learning and artificial intelligence, and the related ISO standards. We need to mention that according to the full applicability of the EU AI Act by 2nd of August 2027, it will be needed a certificate of conformity from a notified body to continue to place on the EU market basically the high-risk AI system. That it is something that it is really important. On the other hand, it is really important to keep up to date because there are a lot of standards that currently are in draft and it will be issued in the future. As last insight from my side for you today, and then I will leave the floor to Gabriele for the part of innovation. There are two specific requirements that I would like to provide a brief overview. One is the human oversight. The aim is to prevent or to minimize the risk to health, safety, and fundamental rights that basically may outcome from an AI risk system. And it is important to ensure an appropriate human-machine interface tools, and these shall be commensurate with the risk level of autonomy and the context of use of the high risk itself. Another requirements that is reported and possibility that we have in this really new regulation is the AI regulatory sandbox. Basically, AI regulatory sandbox is a controlled environment in which AI providers can develop, train, and test and validate their innovative AI system in a limited time, in a controlled manner, in order to basically in the future being placed on the market. And this can be ensured basically because a competent authority will establish this regulatory sandbox at national level. The implementation date is foreseen for 2nd of August 2026. So stay tuned on this topic. Gabriele, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Arianna. And yes, these regulatory sandboxes are innovative in their approach, and they want to promote innovation. So in the next section, I will propose you to extend a little bit the scope of our vision regarding these approaches of integrating EU AI Act principles, but also other principles from other international stakeholders in your innovation processes. So I will go to the next slide. It's a bit slow, sorry. Yeah. So we will see first the very operational and interesting guidelines from the FDA regarding the development of AI-enabled medical devices. And in a second step, we'll also extend the scope to international stakeholders who are also looking at how to develop trustworthy AI in healthcare. So first of all, we know that to develop an AI system, we rely on data, on algorithms, and that the technology is evolving at a rapid pace. Whereas today it is still necessary to ask for to deliver, a new submission in case of a substantial modification to the product or the QMS. So to try to facilitate the development of such products and their life cycle, the FDA has proposed a complementary approach to risk management, which is the Predetermined Change Control Plan, or PCCP, which aims to facilitate and to streamline the post-market evolution of AI-enabled device software functions. It should be submitted in the initial pre-market submission, and the main three elements of the PCCP are: first, the description of the modification that we anticipate. We know that if we get more data, we'll be able to train, to optimize the models, for example. But this has to be anticipated and very well detailed, described in the modification that should still stay in the intended use scope of the product. There should be associated with a modification protocol, which will describe the verification and validation activities that will support these modifications. And still in the risk approach, an impact assessment to identify the benefits, but also the potential risks introduced by such modifications, and how the verification and validation activities will allow to ensure and continue the safety and effectiveness of the device. Sorry, it's a bit slow. And so, in essence, if a modification is planned and is implemented in accordance with the protocol and the impact assessment, it should not require a new submission for the manufacturer. And so the main benefit is to save time in the development process, in the time to market, and potentially so the market share. Here are two examples that you can find through the FDA that has proposed and shared a number of examples. It's still very interesting, concretely speaking, to see how to proceed. First example is a patient monitor software that obtains physiological signals from a primary patient monitors, and these signals are analyzed by a machine learning model to detect patterns that can occur at the onset of physiologic instability. And so when instability is detected, there is a signal to generate that, to inform the clinicians that an action is needed to prevent health status degradation from the patient. So here, a pre-specified modification would be, for example, to retrain the machine learning model with more data to reduce the false alarm rate while maintaining or increasing the sensitivity to the onset of physiological instability. However, if the manufacturer during these new trainings notice that the machine learning model can also predict physiological instability, it's very interesting, but it was not in the expected modification, so a new marketing submission would be required. The second example is a skin lesion software that will analyze images of skin lesions, characterize the features, and support in diagnostics. It's using a specific camera, and it is intended to be used by a primary healthcare provider. So here, a pre-specified modification was to extend the machine learning device software function for use on additional general purpose computing platforms such as smartphones and tablets to extend the accessibility of the device, and using a two-dimensional camera that meet the minimum specification defined in the PCCP with a minimum performance defined in the modification protocol. So the first scenario, in accordance with the PCCP, is that the manufacturer's analytical validation demonstrate that it can be deployed on two additional smartphones that meet the specifications provided in the PCCP. However, if the manufacturer wanted to use another device like a thermographic camera or to modify the way it is used, for example, patient-facing, it would require a new marketing submission. So it's very important to define very well the modifications. In addition to this PCCP guideline, the FDA has also collaborated with the Health Canada and MHRA to provide PCCP guiding principles as they had provided a few years ago good machine learning practices. So in these guiding principles for PCCPs, we have 5 main principles. The first is that the PCCP should be focused and bounded in the scope of the intended initial intended use. They should be risk-based. As we have seen, they need an impact assessment. They should be evidence-based. It's important to ensure that the verification, validation activities will demonstrate correctly that the modification will not impact the safety and efficiency of the device. They should be transparent, meaning that every stakeholder should be informed about these modifications, their potential risks, how they are going to be validated, and how the device will still be monitored. And this is, in essence, in the PCCP, follow a total product lifecycle perspective, integrating the perspective of all stakeholders and supporting the existing regulatory quality and risk management measures. In terms of transparency, this is a key concept, and they have also focused and brought guiding principles on transparency for machine learning-enabled medical devices. With a summary of these principles, who should be, of course, informed, who is the audience of this transparency, making it as systemic as possible. Why it is important to be transparent? What is the goal? Is it to ensure a safe use? Is it to inform decision making, risk management? What information should be shared in terms of the device characterization, device benefits, use, the model, the limitations? Where the information should be shared? When? What is the timing of the communication to stakeholders, and by which methods? This PCCP guidance can also be linked and integrated into the general guidance from the FDA regarding artificial intelligence-enabled device software functions, lifecycle management, and marketing submission recommendations. This guidance is very detailed and very concrete, operationally speaking, to support manufacturers to describe and to give as much as possible information regarding their AI-enabled device software function in the marketing submission. And they propose different types of information to share in the different sections of the sponsor marketing submission. So, for example, the device descriptions is very important, and one has not to forget that the first thing is to inform, to state that AI is used in the device, and then what are the inputs, the outputs, how it is used to achieve the intended use, how it is justified to be used, and all the workflow, the procedure to be used. The software should be described in accordance to the user interface. The labeling, of course, the risk assessment we have shown previously as an important requirement of the EU Act and the MDR and IVDR as well. Data, as Arianna has already mentioned, this is also a very important point to describe in the data management should be described in the data for development, data for testing. The model as well should be described, all the performance validation in the clinical and non-clinical testing, the performance, the software verification and validation activities, the device performance monitoring, cybersecurity as a key international concept, as Arianna mentioned, and the administration information. So this is very interesting, and they give you a number of examples to be included in the marketing submission to be the most concrete and most systemic as possible. If we enlarge now the concept of trustworthy AI, this is a concept that is being developed in an international setting. If we look at the EU AI Act, we have these principles of risk management and human oversight. In 2019, the EU Commission had already published guidelines on trustworthy AI that should be lawful, compliant with the applicable laws, that should be ethical, and that should be robust both from a technical and social perspective. But a number of consortia in the world have started to tackle this question of trustworthy AI or responsible AI in health product development from a concrete and operational perspective, because how to integrate this theoretical concept into practice in the different phases of development of the product. This is another question, and we know that we have specific questions related to specific context, specific use case, specific technologies, and this is why international stakeholders, research, manufacturer stakeholders have started to tackle these questions to develop guidance, operational guidance, best practices to support the innovation processes. A few years ago, the first consortia. So this table shows you a non-exhaustive list of initiatives, international initiatives. The first one were more targeting the reporting in the trials in the clinical field, and then more and more on the prediction models. And now we see a number of initiatives related, of course, to the use of large language models. Ethical checklists linked either to AI or generative AI. So they provide you a number of checklists that can be useful to check the different stages. And if we look at first example, that is the Future AI initiative. That is an initiative from dozens of stakeholders in the world who are developing guidelines for trustworthy and deployable AI in medicine and healthcare. What's interesting is that they provide best practices and guidance based on 6 main principles. The fairness, ensuring that the AI system is performant across individuals and group of individuals. Universality, meaning that AI systems can also be transposed outside of the controlled environment in which they have been initially designed. Traceability, of course, to support and document the trajectory of the AI system from the design to the deployment. Usability, these AI systems should be easy to use and in a safe and efficient manner by users. The robustness, of course, to ensure that performance is the same, meeting expected and unexpected variations in the environment. And explainability, where the AI systems should provide meaningful information and logic behind the decision support. So this consortium can provide and is developing and maintaining best practices either through each of these principles or also by a stage of development of the product. As you can see on the figure, from the design to development, the evaluation, and the deployment. And for each of these phases, you can find different best practices according to the different principles. So, for example, in the design phase, in terms of usability, it is important to define the intended use and user requirements, and this is a key concept, of course, as well in the MDR and IVDR. And also in terms of fairness, defining all the sources of bias, in terms of explainability, and so on. In the development, for example, it is important in terms of robustness to collect representative real-world data. In the evaluation phase, it is important in terms of robustness, to evaluate against real variations, and in terms of traceability, to document the AI tool, including the evaluation. And in the deployment phase, there are also a number of best practices, such as in terms of traceability, implementing periodic audits, or establishing a mechanism for AI governance. A second example is focused more on the technical aspect of trustworthy AI. And this is an example of the metric framework, which allows to ensure the quality of the medical data used in the development of such product. So here you can find what they call the wheel of data quality. That can be interesting for you to ensure this quality of the data from the measurement process that will analyze if there are some problems in the data collection in terms of errors, completeness, the credibility of the sources, the timeliness concept that is focused on how the timing is incorporating in the data sets. Is the data representative with a variety of sources, the depth in terms of size and coverage, the target class balance, is its size for machine learning. Are the data informative, conveying the information that they should do? Are they understandable with no ambiguity? Is there some redundancy? Are they missing values that can be interesting and bring value as well? What is the importance of each feature? And of course, the consistency, can they be provided in a format following rules? Is there some contradiction? And are they distributed also in a consistent way? So this can also support assessing data quality. And I will finish by the World Health Organization, who has proposed last year ethical guideline on the use of large multimodal models in healthcare, where you will also find the risks that can be associated to the use of these LLM in healthcare. Specifically in the international settings, so how they may affect the workforce management, the bias in the system, the accessibility of healthcare. And they also provide different examples that we can find also in Europe in terms of the use case of large language models in healthcare, both in terms of benefits, but also in risks. And so this also can feed the risk-based approach that we can follow in the development of our innovations. And on this ethical point, I will finish this presentation and leave the floor to the Q&A section.
Great. Okay. So now, first of all, thanks to our speakers, thanks to Gabriele, thanks to Arianna to share with us or sharing with us your insights. And now it's time for the Q&A section. We have 8 minutes left, so I invite to all the participants to drop your questions in the Q&A section, and I will read them. For the moment, we don't have any. Okay, we have a question from Noelia. Thanks for the question, Noelia. Medical devices or IVDs classified as Class 1, self-certified, or Class A, non-sterile, respectively, will be classified as a high-risk device under the AI regulation. Considering AI regulation Article 6, Section 1B, these devices do not fall under the high-risk classification. Therefore, they would not require notified body conformity assessment. Is it right? Thanks. So, Arianna, Gabriele, if you consider we can answer this question.
Yes, it's true, because then it's depending even the risk of class of the medical device. What is important here is to evaluate if which kind of AI system is integrated in this class 1 medical device, because the risk here is that it's true that medical device can be class 1, but then when you are integrating the AI system according to the intended purpose of the whole system, then the class risk of the device itself can be higher. So basically you can pass from class 1 to class 2A. So what is really the key here is to assess the intended use and the intended purpose of your device, and understand basically which kind of additional intended purpose brings the AI system that your device is integrating.
Thanks, Arianna. Thanks a lot. We have another question. Oh yeah, Elfried is asking us if we are going to share with you the session, the recording, and so. And yeah, we are going to share with you all the recording and also the slides. Okay, so we will reach you out by email regarding this. Let's see if we have more question. Okay. Do you classify expert rules as AI? I'm not sure if this question is super clear.
I didn't get the point. Sorry, Fernando.
Me neither. I think this question is a bit odd. Maybe if the participant can specify a bit the question, we can answer it.
Yeah, and even if it may be, let me say, a really open question, we can even reply to you by email. So we can
Exactly.
provide more wide, let me say, overview on that.
Exactly. Thanks, Arianna. Okay. We have another question. Does use of the identified patient data or image segmentation influence classification? And the second question, well, maybe we can answer this first. Does use of the identified patient data or image segmentation influence in the classification?
So, of course, the identification of patient is related an aspect of cybersecurity and how basically the system is compliant to the current GDPR basically rules. Let me say, is not only that, okay, I'm anonymize the data of the patient and then the classification change, but we need to look at which kind of intended use your system has. And based on the intended use, you are classifying the system. Then, according to the intended use and what is basically the claim that you want for your product, you need to understand which kind of cybersecurity measures you need to implement in your system. One of that, of course, according, let me say, not to have all data of your patient in clear, can be the identification of patient data and related images.
Thanks, Arianna. We have a last question. We have a last question, okay, because we are running out of time and we need to close the webinar. But the last question will be also from Basan. Thanks, Basan, for your question. What are the expectations for robustness, accuracy, and cybersecurity under the AI Act?
So this is a wide range answer. So basically, it is something that we can reply to you by email because basically the AI Act has a dedicated part about dealing with this kind of aspects and even with the related references according to the current state of the art.
Okay, so I'm sorry for all the participants. I know that we have some other questions, but we are running out of time and we need to close the webinar. As Arianna was mentioning, we can answer to all your questions by email, and we will reach out to you to share all materials, both the presentation and also the slides itself. So no worries, we will answer you by email. Just to say thank you all for participating. Also, big thanks to Arianna and Gabriele for sharing your insights. To end up, if you want to stay tuned on our new webinars, on our new events, I invite you to follow our LinkedIn profile because you will be able to see all our posts or our news and so we'll have more webinars upcoming in the month of May. So you will be invited for sure. And yeah, again, thanks a lot. And now we can close the webinar. Thank you.